Hi, everyone. Sarah Brown Wessling here from the Council of Chief State School Officers National Teacher of the Year program. And I am so excited to announce the third season of Voices from the Classroom, the State Teacher of the Year podcast. CCSSO's National Teacher of the Year program provides a platform for exceptional educators to elevate issues that affect teachers and their students, to expand their leadership roles, and to inform policy and practice. In this season of the podcast, 2022 State Teachers of the Year will teach us about the lessons their students keep talking about. Maybe it's the one that they come back to years later and tell the teachers about. Or maybe it's the one their most recent students have asked for over and over again. This season, we are honored to have two past State Teachers of the Year conducting the interviews themselves. You'll hear Stacy McAdoo, 2019 Arkansas State Teacher of the Year, John Arthur, 2021 State Teacher of the Year, and me in conversation with our teachers throughout this season. I invite you to listen to these incredible stories.
Welcome to the Voices from the Classroom podcast. I am Stacy McAdoo, your forever 2019 Arkansas Teacher of the Year. And today I am here with the 2022 Hawaii State Teacher of the Year. Woo! Can you introduce yourself and tell the listening audience who you are, where you teach, what you teach?
Aloha kako. My name is Whitney Aragaki. I teach at Waiakea High School in Hilo, Hawaii, and I teach biology and environmental science.
Oh, that sounds like a very fun and engaging subject. Can you, is there a particular lesson that immediately comes to mind that your students are always talking about?
Yeah, I think a topic or a lesson that, my students kind of referred to throughout last school year was our COVID unit. So at the beginning of the year, I was so excited to teach students, let's get into it in natural selection, genetics, cellular respiration. Let's do this. Let's go. And then on their pre-course surveys, nearly 75% of the students kept saying, but I want to learn about COVID. What's this COVID thing? Why is it ruining our lives right now? And I felt, how can I even move on? If they are all really stuck on this idea of COVID, then it's so important for us to focus in on what they want to learn. And so what I did was spend a weekend and I redesigned the entire lesson. And instead, we taught biology through the lens of COVID, in the sense where COVID is a really great case study to look at genetics, to look at what is alive, what's not alive, viruses are not alive, and then the susceptibility to COVID with different populations. And different populations, we could describe it as genetic populations, but really what we looked at is different socioeconomic and cultural populations. So through this, we spent maybe 3 weeks just really dissecting how COVID has spread, what contact tracing is and what they were hired to do, and also investigating how biology and the experience of life is different for different people because of where they live, potentially what challenges they face, and especially environmental racism. So we looked at populations in affluent white communities, populations in urban communities, and then also populations on reservations or unceded lands, and really had those conversations a little bit separate from Hawaii. And then we said, okay, now let's take this idea. Let's understand frontline workers and how many frontline workers we have, how many essential workers we have in Hawaii. What are their ethnic backgrounds? And is there a propensity to getting COVID based on ethnic background and or occupation? And so the occupational hazard of COVID really kind of bubbled to the surface there. We talked about income levels, what time of day people have to work, the crowding, the social distancing, and what do masks work, what do masks do, and then the vaccine availability and access. And at that point, vaccines were just on the cusp of things. And an interesting conversation came up within this lesson is that so in Hawaii, many of us would say or many of my students would say something along the lines that people are telling us what to do. People from the continent are telling Hawaii what to do about social distancing or mask wearing, quarantining, isolation, all this stuff. And that's very a colonizer lens. I said, hold up, let's think about that. First of all, because yes, we are gathering information from the continent because they are the ones that are experiencing COVID a little bit more rapidly than we are. We're also looking at Asia and the entire Pacific. Now, many Pacific islands shut down in order to protect their borders. Hawaii definitely could not do that. We survive on tourism. So, we had to think about all of these different levels. And really, was it a colonizer perspective to quarantine? Working with the University of Hawaii at Manoa and the curriculum that they were also working on at the time, we got to look at Nupepa. Nupepa is the newspaper during the kingdom time and in Olelo Hawaii, or the Hawaiian language. What we saw in the Nupepa was that Queen Liliuokalani, I think she was Princess Liliuokalani at the time, recognized a quarantine because of the outbreak of measles in her kingdom. And so in doing this, we really discovered that it's not just a continental perspective to isolate, to quarantine, to stop travel, but it is actually a Hawaiian kingdom perspective. So in honoring our indigenous culture and honoring our indigenous peoples and their governance, we were able to recognize how our practices of ensuring our people are safe through isolation, quarantine, mask wearing, and vaccines was actually something that is culturally responsive.
This is fascinating. I have so many different questions for you based on everything that you shared. First of all, is this a different type of lesson, or is this your standard way of teaching? Do you typically revamp and or try to do lessons that are relevant right now that your students are asking about or inquiring about?
Absolutely. I give a pre-course survey every year for the past few years. And I would say that my first 3 weeks of school are the busiest for me because I am trying to pull what they are interested in or what's really a hot topic on their minds. And even I was thinking about how I typically try to open with something about environmental racism in the sense of recognizing the social political aspects that are connected with biology. And, the Eastern Kentucky floods right now that they are experiencing, just thinking like, how could I bring that very timely topic into conversations about climate change and the human experience? So yeah, very busy. I think that's why I had like a brain fog real quick. Like, what is happening? But yeah, we just started. This is our second full day of school. And so I'm going through the pre-course surveys right now, looking at students' interests and trying to develop lessons along the lines.
I love it. I want to come be in your biology class. I need to read.
Please do.
So my last question is really about the lessons learned from this particular assignment that you talked about, but maybe just your teaching style in general. What is it that you have learned about your students, about yourself, about your community by approaching learning this way?
Something that is a big takeaway for me and is actually something that kept me up last night was that I love to ask students what their future careers are. We are a career academy high school, and we organize students by their interests and their career interests. And what I'm seeing is that the themes that come up about the way that they engage with learning, regardless of what subject topic it is, like I need to meet them there. My business and construction students, they were just talking all about last year on how they love building things. They wanted to do more egg drops. They want to put things in action. And so I'm thinking like, how do I bring in bioengineering to meet them where they're at? At the same time, I'm still teaching biology to other students, and my public servants, my future public servants, my lawyers, my teachers, all of these public servants, they're talking about like how they just want to have group conversations and not but like discussions and really get into the political atmosphere of biology. And so even though I'm really teaching the same topic or same concepts, I have to approach it very differently based on the gifts of my students. And that's something that I really enjoy doing and I really enjoy thinking about. It's probably going to, again, take up my entire few weekends from now, but it's so exciting. And I love the challenge every year of it.
Well, thank you so very much for pouring your heart and soul into your teaching and for making biology a real relevant subject that is applicable to any student, no matter what career path they're interested in going into. That's really it for my questions today. So I thank you so very much for taking the time to share a piece of your classroom with us and for sharing a piece of you with us. So thank you so very much. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful and even better tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for listening to the latest series of Voices from the Classroom, the State Teacher of the Year podcast. Let's keep the conversation going. Please share these lessons on social media with the hashtag NTOY22. That's hashtag NTOY22. You can also catch up on the last 2 seasons on our website at ntoy.ccsso.org. While you're there, you can also learn more about and find ways to support all of our efforts to elevate teacher voice through the National Teacher of the Year program. Until next time.